What if in the fight against cancer, we had a powerful new technology? A new way to find cancer so it can be treated early. Cancer strikes about 1 in 3 women and 1 in 2 men in their lifetimes in the United States. Nearly half of those cancers will be diagnosed after the cancer has spread. Only 20% of people with late-stage diagnosis will survive 5 years. Important progress has been made in essential life-saving single cancer screenings, but early detection technology only exists for a few cancers. This means most cancer diagnoses simply arrive too late. So to help current and future treatments be more effective, you first need to know you have cancer as early as possible. And at Grail, this is our focus: early cancer detection. Grail's Gallery test is a significant leap forward in the war on cancer and a breakthrough approach to cancer screening. Instead of looking for cancer one at a time, organ by organ, the Gallery test has shown the ability to take a patient's blood sample, applying the latest in technology, driven by genomics, machine learning, and large-scale clinical studies, and identify over 50 different cancers. And if one is present, predict its location with high accuracy. Equipped with this powerful information, doctors have an opportunity to step in and act decisively, potentially before cancer has a chance to spread. So it's time to complement existing screenings and start looking beyond a small number of individual cancers. Because the most important cancer is the one you or your loved one has, and beating it starts with knowing you have it. Grail, early detection for multiple cancers.
I value the ability to include lifestyle changes in the prevention and management of disease, which takes significantly more time than a straightforward medical approach.
I really wish my dad and my grandfather, both of whom were physicians, no longer with us, could see my smiling face every day. I come home from the office, walk into the house, and I've got the biggest smile on my face. I feel like I've accomplished something. I'm successful.
I would choose Cyprus over and over again.
Our online bookstore. We have a lot of sales going on a lot of great books. We've also put up our physician reading list that your peers are saying, hey, I'm reading these books. Would you please let my peers know that this is a really great book and it might be really helpful for you? So we have put that into our bookstore as well. It's over to your left, maybe it's that way. We actually have a sale going on right now on the Expanded Guide to Concierge Medicine. It's a recently updated book. We want you to go check it out. And for the first 10 doctors who order this book, we will include a set of doc socks. These were a big hit last year. I know it might seem cheesy, but these are pretty comfortable. I'm not a doctor, but I've tried these on for size. I'm not these particular ones, but I've tried these ones on for size, and they're pretty comfortable. So I think that for the first 10 doctors who order the Doctor's Expanded Guide, which is on sale in our bookstore to the left, check it out, and we will include a free pair of doc socks. You don't have to be a doctor to get the socks, so we hope that you enjoy it, and you hope that you'll go check out all of our resources. Not the live premiered version. You can still continue to comment over the next several weeks and months. We're going to be monitoring this. Roy will be watching some of these comments. We'll send them over to Roy. And again, we're not making policy here in this conversation. We're strictly educating you about this. And so we're going to jump to another topic. And again, if you want to continue this conversation with Roy and ask, talk about his opinions, it's almost like being in a real estate position as well. I know working with our realtor recently, it's kind of like, put your crystal ball. What are they going to do? What are they going to do? What are they going to do? It's like, it's complex. And, that's how this works. And so for concierge doctors listening as well, who are going to accept insurance or participate in insurance, certain selective ones in their state, or still continue to participate in Medicare, or the ones, the direct care doctors who are really cash only type of doctors who are, seeing a lot of their businesses scale through employer contracts. These are questions, these are all great questions that Roy can field for you. We encourage you to reach out to askmrhsa.com or info@askmrhsa.com. Roy, we're going to jump into some HSA basics, if that's okay, and I'll let you share some of your slides.
Okay.
So fascinating conversation today. So before we jump in, when we talk about HSAs, FSAs, it's almost like talking to a financial advisor too. And so let's clear up how much of your role is really like talking about HSAs versus also having to discuss financial options, retirement options. Are you a financial advisor as well? How does that role, when does your role stop and start?
So I'm not a registered financial advisor or certified financial planner or anything like that. What I try to do is make sure that people understand HSAs as well as they can, so they know what kinds of questions to be asking their own financial advisor when it comes to thinking about how to take the most advantage of an HSA. I say all the time how the HSA is the most tax advantaged opportunity for you available, even better than your retirement plan options. So it makes sense to be talking about including an HSA in your financial planning. I'm not going to tell you how best to do that, but I want to raise your awareness to a point where you can ask intelligent questions of your financial advisor, such as, should I fund my 401k or my HSA with my first dollars? And there are arguments on both sides for which one should be used first. At the end of the day, if you think you're going to have healthcare expenses in retirement, which I'm guessing most of us are going to have quite a few, and the projections that I've seen by Fidelity and others suggest that for married couples who are retiring this year at age 65, their total out-of-pocket need on average is growing close to $300,000 for the rest of their lifetimes.
Wow.
I know that if I put money into only my retirement plan, that I'm going to have to pay taxes on that when I take the money out. And I'm going to have to take out more than $300,000 in order to have $300,000 left after taxes to pay for my healthcare expenses. And mind you, healthcare expenses, when I'm referring to that term, I'm including your Part B premiums, your Part D premiums for Medicare. Some of you may enroll in a Medicare Advantage option. You may have premiums for that as well. All of these projections also include things like dental care, vision care, hearing aids, things that Medicare typically doesn't cover. However, none of these projections include any estimates for long-term care. And so to me, these estimates are underestimating the potential need for some couples as they face retirement. And so, you know, the HSA can help you set aside money for that. That comes out tax-free. So I'm not losing 20 to 40% every time I make a withdrawal like I would from a retirement plan, just going to taxes. So when you have the opportunity to use the HSA, it makes sense to put money into it. And I would argue, put as much as you can afford to each year up to the annual amounts that you are allowed to. Now, yes, the limits for HSA contributions are not anywhere near what you could typically put in a 401k. So it's not going to replace your retirement plan, but it is a very important supplement to your retirement plan. The contribution limits in some cases are much closer to what we know of for individual retirement accounts. But again, it should be part of your retirement planning. It shouldn't replace it, but it should definitely complement it. And you need to think about that in ways that make sense for you.
Well, and our guest today is Roy Ramthun with an N, and askmrhsa.com is the website we're looking at right now. And there's a wealth of resources, basic questions, frequently asked questions that we have here. Roy, I'm going to let you share some slides because we want to zoom out for a moment to just show physicians and those listening that, you know, HSAs have kind of become a little more popular lately. You know, but there's some misnomers. There's a lot of features and benefits to this. But you know, I know physicians are getting asked a lot of questions, you know, and you're not a financial advisor by any means as their physician. So we're going to help put some clarity and some certainty around some of these frequently asked questions that maybe you're getting asked that you can assist your patients with. And certainly financial advisors are talking about this and talking about partnering with concierge medicine in these types of physician business model practices, these membership and subscription practices, more and more. We've seen them advertised in even huge financial publications like the Financial Times in the recent years. So let's jump into some of the growth and popularity of HSAs.
So before I do that, I can, you know, just say that, you know, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a financial advisor, but I know enough to be dangerous and will probably be willing to go toe to toe with some of these individuals because they don't know as much about HSAs as I do. And a lot of them, you know, have their own issues with that. And so for both sides to have a good conversation, we need to understand each other and we need to understand all of the pros and cons of the different options. But as you said, these accounts are growing rapidly. And I recently saw a statistic that said that 70% of all of the HSA accounts have been opened in the last 5 years. Wow. So despite them being around for now 16 years, most of the people who have HSAs are relative newcomers. And so they are still learning and trying to learn. And so as more people have an HSA, more financial advisors are being confronted with questions about HSAs. And I guess that's a good thing because I've been beating the drum for many years about how they are so valuable for the long term. And as we're trying to convince people who own HSAs not to treat them like spending accounts where if you don't spend your money, you're going to lose it come at the end of the year, because that definitely does not happen. These are bank accounts in your name. The money belongs to you. It never goes away unless you decide to spend it to pay for or reimburse yourself for an eligible healthcare expense. And so since that money accumulates year over year, you will likely see your balance grow. And as your balance grows, you might start thinking, well, what else can I do with this money? I mean, interest rates are so low that I'm probably not earning very much interest by keeping it in a regular bank account. Well, that's where we have to remind people that because this money never goes away, you can actually look at this as a longer term account that can be invested. And that message is finally starting to get through to people. And on my next slide, I'm going to show you the deposits that are in the HSA accounts. And again, you can see how quickly they are growing in the last 5 years. HSA accounts can be invested in the same types of investments as your IRA. I would say your 401k, but sometimes the 401k has restricted asset classes that only the 401k can invest in, such as like company stock, where your HSA might not be able to be invested in that. But people are starting to get the message, and you can see how the overall deposits have grown, but you can also see how the investment portion shown in the green piece of each bar is growing. And that is in fact the fastest growing element of the HSA deposits. So at the end of 2019, total deposits were almost $66 billion. And $16 billion of that was invested. Now you can look at the projections through the end of 2021 and see the growth rates for each of those. So investments are thought to going to increase about 50% from 16 billion to 24 billion in the next 2 years. And regular deposits, total deposits overall, are going to grow from 66 billion to 90 billion. So the investment aspect of this is definitely taking off. And my job is to try to help people understand that they have this option to invest and how to take advantage of it, and then go talk to your own financial advisor and figure out what makes the most sense for you.
Wow. That's powerful.
We do not provide legal or financial advice.
Absolutely. We are not providing legal or financial advice. Again, this is strictly education.
So when we look behind the scenes, we can see the annual contributions that are being made to the accounts, as well as the withdrawals. Now, I'd like to see those annual withdrawals not be as high as they are, but on the far right side of the slide, you can see that it's still leaving a positive carry forward balance every year. And definitely the deposits to the accounts are exceeding the withdrawals. So at least people are putting more money in that they're taking out, leaving some cash flow for the upcoming year where you can hopefully add more money to it. To me, this is the best slide to understand whether people understand HSAs as a true savings account. And what this graph shows is the farther you move to the left, the older your account is. And the older your account is, the higher the average balance is in people's accounts who opened their account in that particular year. So if we look at somebody who opened their account in 2015, average balances for people who owned accounts, who opened accounts in that year, are over $2,800. We compare that to somebody who's opened their account 10 years ago in 2010. The average balance for accounts that are 10 years old are $6,100. And if we go back 15 years to those who opened accounts in 2005, average balances in those accounts are over $11,000. So to me, the longer you've had an account, the more likely it is that you understand that the money's not disappearing at the end of the year. It automatically accumulates and the funds roll over from one year to the next, and you can now add more money to it as you are eligible to do so. So the good news about that is I think people understand that the S in health savings account means savings, not spending. But in those early years, I think there's still a lot of confusion about people not understanding that aspect, thinking that I got to spend the money, I got to reimburse myself because I'm going to lose it come the end of the year. But, you know, slowly over time, we see that change. And, you know, I'm trying to help people understand that and then take it to the next level where they can say, hey, this has got even more options that I want to explore. And so that's what I see in this graph. And I'm thrilled by that.
And before we jump off of that, you know, real quick for doctors listening, I think the big question is, you know, a couple of things here is, you know, who determines what is considered a qualified medical expense in order to use my HSA? And are those changing on a state level? Are they changing on a federal level? And how do I learn more about that to see if those expenses can be used towards services that I offer in my practice?
So the definition of an eligible medical expense is all in the eyes of the IRS. Remember, these are tax advantaged accounts. And so if we want the tax advantages on all sides, there's tax deductions when we put the money in. We also have to follow the tax rules when we take the money out so that we're not taxed on our withdrawals. And that means that we would need to use those funds for eligible expenses. If we use them for other expenses that are not eligible, such as paying rent or buying a television or something like that, it's not illegal to do so, but we have to pay income tax and a 20% penalty. So the tax advantage is for the eligible expenses, and nobody else can tell you otherwise, not your employer, not your insurer. Nobody else can put any restrictions on you. And the definition that the IRS uses is fortunately very broad. The place I'm going to tell you to go to really find out the types of things that you can use your account for is found in IRS publication 502. There are two caveats that I need to provide that go along with that. But that is the best place that the IRS will tell you what expenses are eligible expenses or not. Sometimes, however, your trustee or custodian for your HSA account will have information available on their website, which gets even more granular when we get into things like over-the-counter medicines and other products like that. Because the IRS is just going to tell you over-the-counter medicines are an eligible expense. But they're not going to tell you that in publication 502. And that's where we have to get in some of the distinctions for that. The IRS is going to tell you that expenses for Band-Aids and ACE bandages and other things like that are going to be eligible expenses. But they're not going to tell you, is this one in particular an eligible expense? Because sometimes, you know, we find out that certain things are approved for general use and other things are approved for medical uses. And we need to always understand, you know, what's approved for general use versus medical use, because sometimes that makes a difference. So if you just scroll through there, Michael, you'll see, you know, all these different categories. It'll lay out some general rules up front, but then it will go through these categories of expenses if you just keep scrolling through there. Now, remember that this is including expenses incurred by not only yourself, but your spouse and any tax dependents. So you will see a lot of things of what's includable, what are not includable. So my caveats are here are two. First, this publication is technically used for people who are itemizing their medical expenses and deducting them if they exceed 10% of their adjusted gross income. But the general descriptions here are accurate for health savings accounts, flexible spending accounts, etc. The two areas that are different is that publication 502 will tell you that you can generally deduct the cost of insurance premiums that you are paying out of pocket on your income tax return. HSAs cannot generally be used for health insurance premiums, so we need to understand that. Publication 502 will also tell you that you generally cannot deduct the cost of over-the-counter medicines. So all of these over-the-counter pain relievers, allergy medicines, etc., generally are not able to be added into your medical expense deduction. However, Congress just changed that law, and HSAs, FSAs, and even HRAs can cover and reimburse those expenses, and you no longer have to get a prescription for them in order to reimburse yourself. So lots of information in there. Sometimes the details matter. People ask me all the time, I have this particular expense. Can I use my HSA for that? I am not ever going to be able to tell you, can you use your HSA funds for that expense? I may be able to tell you that I think it is, or I think it's not, but often it matters on the facts and circumstances of your particular situation. And I may not have all of that information, and I'm honestly not in a position to give you that legal or financial advice at the end of the day. I can give you, my best guidance on whether I think it is. Sometimes a prescription from the doctor helps you get that, to indicate some level of medical need for that. But that doesn't always give you a golden ticket to mean that the IRS agent, if they were to ever audit you, would agree with your reimbursement. So just kind of things to be aware of. They do try to use a fairly broad definition so that individuals have the opportunity to claim these expenses when they need them. So my best example here is somebody who has very severe allergies. I was once told that the IRS did allow a medical deduction for replacing their heating and air conditioning unit with a higher quality filter capabilities so that they essentially could live in their house without these severe allergies. Now, does that mean that you and I, who don't have severe allergies, could actually go in and do the same thing? Probably not. I would argue that that individual had a much higher medical justification for that, and it was really up to the IRS to decide whether or not those facts and circumstances justified that person using their funds accordingly to pay for that. You or I could probably not make that determination on our own. And then, people would be upset with us if we didn't say yes. And that's not the point. The point is to make the best case that you can and hope that the IRS agrees.
Check out our online bookstore. We have a lot of sales going on a lot of great books. We've also put up our physician reading list that your peers are saying, hey, I'm reading these books. Would you please let my peers know that this is a really great book and it might be really helpful for you? So we have put that into our bookstore as well. It's over to your left, maybe it's that way. We actually have a sale going on right now on the Expanded Guide to Concierge Medicine. It's a recently updated book. We want you to go check it out. And for the first 10 doctors who order this book, we will include a set of doc socks. These were a big hit last year. I know it might seem cheesy, but these are pretty comfortable. I'm not a doctor, but I've tried these on for size. I'm not these particular ones, but I've tried these ones on for size, and they're pretty comfortable. So I think that for the first 10 doctors who order the Doctor's Expanded Guide, which is on sale in our bookstore to the left, check it out, and we will include a free pair of doc socks. You don't have to be a doctor to get the socks, so we hope that you enjoy it, and you hope that you'll go check out all of our bookstores. On-demand content, and we encourage you to go take a walk and do the same. Maybe you've got patients to see, but I encourage you, visit our bookstore, take a walk, get some fresh air. All of the on-demand content is going to be available for you as soon as you return, and it's going to be available for the next several weeks. And after that, after the new year, we have some exciting announcements. We have a lot of virtual events that we're going to continue talking with great doctors. We also have a lot of on-demand courses like our patient gratitude system, our masterclass in interior design, our introduction to docpreneurship and social prescribing, with great examples of what doctors are doing in our local communities and in your local communities to really make an impact and create a remarkable environment for their patients. So check out our events to the left, as well as our online courses. We have a lot of community ahead of us, and a lot of promise and a lot of future together. So enjoy your day, go take a walk, and we'll see you back here, because you can access all of this on-demand content anytime as soon as you return.
Do a transition with a group, particularly with Cypress, because of their lifelong relationship with us. They've been present with us for now over 6 years, and I can say that they continue to partner with us in maintaining and growing our practice.
Cypress has helped us to maintain contact with our patients, either by voice shot recordings or email, to give them updates that are timely.
I wasn't expecting to partner with anybody. I realized that I really needed help to make this transition, and ultimately chose Cypress because I felt like they would be able to partner best with me with my own unique needs. They also didn't seem to have one size that fits all. They seemed very willing to partner and figure out what worked best in my specific situation.
They are a godsend to us